go outside and watch it explode. I'll let my eyes burn. Yeah!
I just want to start off with, like, what is it like living? It seems like most of your life is producing full time, or at least close to it.
It's like producing 60% producing, 40% Thai food. That's pretty much
That's
it.
a good balance.
Yeah.
That's a good balance.
Yeah.
Like, just randomly though, like I saw you got picked up in a McLaren. What was up with that, bro?
Oh shit.
If it was cocaine related, you don't need to tell me. I don't need.
Definitely not coke related. Let me see. Should I just make up a story, or should I tell you what it really is? What do you think is more sexy?
I mean, it's unedited, so it's however you want people to perceive you. All right, we are back after technical difficulties. That's what teamwork looks like and sounds like for all of the mic pre's that just peaked. But back to our story here. Mm-hmm. So, your uncle is works at a car dealership.
No. No. My uncle is a psychopath, and
most uncles are.
I can't really go too hard into it, but he owns a lot of stuff.
Dope.
And I've only talked to him a handful of times my entire life. He was an entrepreneur at a young age. He opened up a beeper store when beepers were popping back in like 90s when he was 20. And he just like he worked so fucking hard that he ended up starting a window tinting business that became the biggest window tinting company in the world.
What?
Yeah, and then he started something called chip bra. You ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
So chip bra is like this shit that will go around like your car to protect it from rocks or anything. So it's like a wrap, clear coat.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so he did that, and then the rest is just the craziest thing. So he picked me up in a McLaren, and I was just like, damn. It's like, what the fuck is that about?
Goals. That's crazy.
Yeah, so we just went to dinner, and then he was telling me about all of the other shit and all the craziness, and he's like a mentor for me. He's like, when I first moved to Arizona, he was the dude that I called because I've moved to Arizona like 8 years ago, right?
Where are you from originally?
Virginia.
Okay.
So I moved to Arizona 8 years ago, and he was he was the only family I had out here, and I'd only met him once or twice, and even since then I've only seen him 4 times in 8 years.
Wow.
And that was the 4th time, and we just talked, and every time we talk, I always like gain some sort of like, I hit a new plateau or hit a new echelon of fucking like expanding my mind on how to grow. Anyway, my uncle picked me up in McLaren.
No, dude, that's sick. It just shows that entrepreneurial spirit is just flowing through your veins.
I hope so.
Dude, are you kidding me? It totally is. Like, you're killing it producing. Like, your band West Coast is sick, and you're one of the most respected people in the Arizona scene that I've talked to. And I've talked to like Adam Ramey, and I've talked to like multiple people in the scene, and your name keeps coming up. And so they're like, you gotta talk to Hiram. He's a super inspiring dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Adam's the coolest guy ever. I fucking love that guy.
Right?
Yeah, he's like, I feel like if the Charmin like toilet paper bear was like a person, just because I just want to hug him.
You know?
Yeah.
Shout out to Dropout Kings.
Dude,
and Dayshell. Holy shit. So that kind of bridges into something I want to talk about. What was it like working with Dayshell and with those guys?
It's pretty cool. Without going too crazy into it, this time we spent like 3 months. Or no, not 3 months, sorry. We spent like a month just doing 14 songs, and it's pretty straightforward. That's it.
That's sick. I didn't know that Dayshell was from Of Mice and Men, and so when I found them, because I was a huge metalcore fan growing up, and so when I was going to Of Mice and Men, As They Lay Dying, August Burns Red, like all those shows, Of Mice and Men was always like right there.
Yeah.
And that song Second and Sebring,
Sorry, man, I just had some cereal.
child isn't there. That song Second and Sebring like literally brought me to tears. I remember like a couple times when I was going through some tough stuff with my mom, and that's sick that he's doing his own thing and that you're involved, with that whole scene.
He hit me up and was just like, the first time we wrote together, we wrote 2 songs and I knocked him out in like a day and a half. And, it just worked. And now the record's coming out in like a month from, I think 6 weeks actually from today.
Got it. Yeah, he's doing a really good release, which I think is pretty rare. As far as with the timing of everything, like I forget the first record or the first single they dropped off it, but I saw Pressure is out now.
Yeah, that's a song I actually wrote full on, all the way.
Wow.
I don't want to say it's my favorite one, but it's definitely my favorite one.
It's my favorite one so far.
Yeah,
I can say
that's
that.
That's the one when we wrote together, I was just like, oh my gosh, of course. Hold on a second.
No worries.
Hey,
Stop it, phone.
who is that?
954-850.
Just decline it. Decline it. All right. Pressure, right?
Yeah, Pressure.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was just started sitting down at my computer and I started writing a riff, right? And he was just like, "That's sick." And then I just in like 25 minutes wrote the whole song, and he wrote some lyrics over it, and boom, it was done. And still my favorite song on the record.
Isn't it funny how that works? Sometimes when you just are in a creative mode, sometimes that stuff just comes to you, right?
Yeah.
It's just all at once.
Well, I write.
How do you write? Yeah.
Really crazy, kind of different. So like, a lot of people will be very methodical about their shit, right? Like they'll be like, okay, this is the chorus, and I have to write the chorus, and I have to really perfect the chorus. But for me, if I'm writing a song, I kind of will write it out as if I'm listening to it, right? And depending on my mood or whatever circumstance throughout the day, right, it always changes the structure.
Mm-hmm.
Relatively, I write pop standard music, so which applies to metal. It's just pop, pop oriented stuff. So I'll just write the entire song all the way through from start to finish, and then I'll be done with it. And then I expound on it. And if I have to edit, certain parts, I'll edit certain parts. But
does it come to you in just like a continuous flow?
Yeah, it's like a stream. Yeah. So so basically, I'll start at the intro and then I'll just write it out until I'm done. And usually when I'm writing, I'm recording anyway. So I'll just lay it all down and be done with it, and then just build a song off one riff. And 9 times out of 10, it's just exactly what I wrote initially. Just is what it is. That's it.
That's interesting. That's how Cage the Elephant records.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's I forget the frontman's name, but when they go in and track, it's the first or second take.
Oh,
is
nice.
what they use.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the most way to get an authentic sound too.
Same thing with vocals too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just if I'm just a lot of the times when I write vocals, I'll freestyle, and that's it. So I'll freestyle whatever I'm thinking, and then I'll go back, and with vocals I'll go back and kind of change certain things. But seriously, 9 times out of 10, whatever I sing for the chorus is it, and that's just done. And
that's so good. That's so refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many studios I've been in, and just different projects and things where it's so like, this word needs to change, and it's just very like the whole writing process for a lot of bands. It's so hard to come up with the right way to do that with a lot of people.
I think it takes time though. I really do. I think that process. I think the process of getting to where you're happy with your own shit takes years. Because up until like 3 years ago, I would be the person that was just like, okay, this doesn't sound right, or this doesn't feel right, or blah 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 blah. But what you have to understand, how many songs can you write? Right? You can write unlimited amount of songs, so just fucking write this one and then move on to the next one.
The ether.
Right?
Right.
Just you can't get stuck on one thing, because there's an exponential amount of songs to write. So it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I know the God, what's the dude from the Black Keys? I always forget his name.
I don't know.
Anyways, whatever. That dude writes one song a day. And I've heard from what's his face at I'm just forgetting everybody's name. I've heard from some industry folks that usually drills down to about 100 songs to get one hit, in quotes, is about the average. And so the game is who can write the most amount of songs, and put their best foot forward with it. And I think that there's something to that. It's not everything because you can get lucky with it. But I mean, I see that in like sales. I see that in a bunch of different aspects. Some people see it as a numbers game. But I think that feeling and that flow and being in that, and as long as you're honest with however you're feeling, like something will come from that, even if it's just for you. Like, how many voice memos and recordings do you have of just random shit that meant something to you at the time?
Back when I used to smoke weed, a ton. A ton.
What?
Yeah.
What? But, dude, so I saw that you were at the Subterranean recording area over at Nirvana's studio in Washington.
Oh,
and
Robert
I wanted
Lang.
to ask you about that with Robert Lang's studio. Did you say that you were recording a vase?
Yeah.
Like, was that a joke or?
No, I always record auxiliary instruments. So like, if something sounds cool, I'm just like, oh, go grab that real quick.
Got it.
So like, I'll be like, oh, so the other day I was like, oh man, I just moved into this house, right? This living room, this whole house is 115 years old, right? So the wood is from 1908, and I don't know why, but if you start singing in here, it sounds insane. So I was recording this girl who's a pop artist, and there was this chorus that was like really kind of cheerleader-esque, right? So I was like, we'll do the typical, layering of the chorus, right? But I want to do 12 takes of her singing the chorus out here, and only add it in like this much.
Right.
But it just, I'll do shit like that all the time. If you think of it, why not do it? If you think it could be cool, just do it. Like for instance, a lot of people are like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we just got like a butter knife and like slap my friend in front of it and just fucking in front of like,
Yeah,
like,
well,
no,
dude, it's the layers, and I think that's like when you're listening to a song, you're not listening to it to listen to it one time.
Yeah.
You're listening to it because it's going to become a part of your library of your life. And so every time you re-listen to that, and you're able to notice a different layer, or like one nuance here, one nuance there. That's, for me at least, what keeps me interested, besides like obviously like the cornerstones of whatever the song is.
Right.
But that's dope.
fucking
Look at these guys. We've got it just so you guys can't see right now. There's like a band in here. They're like tiptoeing around. Thank you, good sirs.
Don't wait, Daddy. Why didn't you just walk normal? I want to fucking make noise. Dude, just go.
Together.
Just live outside. Oh shit.
Live outside.
Oh man, that's
Live
awesome.
outside.
I'm recording a band called Avoid right now, and those dudes are from Seattle, and I guess people in Seattle like to tippy toe in houses.
Bro, we're passive aggressive. I'm from the Northwest. We're passive aggressive as fuck. Too.
Oh,
That's
where are
okay.
you from?
Oregon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know if they're. Maybe they are.
See, you wouldn't know.
I
But
don't
you
know.
probably.
Everybody in
would catch
Seattle that I've met is just either really nice. That's it, actually. Everyone's just really nice.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
But as far as with who you have worked with in the past, and maybe some highlights, like what's one of your favorite projects that you've worked on in the past?
Damn, I feel like somebody asks me that every day, and I still don't know. One of them. Let's see. I will say that when I recorded recording Craig in Malibu, my friend Craig Owens, I recorded him in Malibu at this this kind of crazy story. So he called me up, right, to come write, and we did, and we drove in to Malibu thinking, oh yeah, Malibu's great, right, and then we show up and it's Kristen Stewart's house. So
What?
Yeah, so we drove up to Malibu to Kristen Stewart's house to go write a record on the beach, in her beach house, and he lived there at the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was just really beautiful because you could see everything. Like, you know, I don't know if it was like the time of the year or something, but man, it was just so crisp outside, you know, and it was just so insanely beautiful, and it was just great. That was great.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've heard that too, that you know, material things get old. Like, you get used to material things, but a view is something that you'll always appreciate.
For sure.
So I think that's one of my goals for sure is, you know, I don't care how big my house is, but I want a house that's got a view somewhere. So.
Oh, I give a fuck about both, for sure. For sure, I care about both.
Oh, shit. Well, you know, I wanted to know of all of the things that you do when you're recording, compared to when you're on stage, compared to, you know, when you're doing an interview. Like, what's your favorite part about music, or like being neck deep in the scene and in your work? What's your favorite part?
You know my real answer?
What's that?
Being done. I'm not my real answer is being done.
That's fair.
Like knowing that I did a good job. So the reflection, I guess, in a sense, right? Like, doing it is great, right? The memory of doing it is great. The action, the endorphins that you get from doing it is great. But knowing that you did a good job is just on a whole nother level.
Right. And for you, do you get that validation from how happy the band is, or is it something that you feel like you've done your best and that's where it's at, or is it like associated with plays, or like how do you know that you've done a good job?
It's definitely not associated with plays at all.
Good.
But you know, there's a certain something in the air. You know what I mean? Like, there's just something that happens to when you've done something that's really worth it. It just you can feel it. You know, you can just feel it, and that, you know, after you're done with it and you really fucking feel it, that's it. So it has nothing to do with play count. It has nothing to do with it, you know. I mean, obviously there's synergy between a band or a crowd. You know, if they're left inspired, or if they're left, you know, wanting more. I mean, the amount of times that I've gotten done playing, you know, on any tour that I've been on, and some nights fucking suck and some nights rule, and the nights that rule, you don't know until it's done, right? Like, damn,
right.
that show went great. So yeah, being done.
That's a good answer. When you went on tour with West Coast, who were some of your favorite bands to play with, or what was one of your favorite nights? Just like emotional, like, do you feel? Because I mean, there's a thing when you win over a crowd, you know, with that feeling when they're tossing back that energy and you're tossing it back to them, you know, and you have that connection with them. But you know, then there's those nights where, you know, there's like 30 people in the audience, and it's just a grind. But you know, some of the moments you have with the band members and like the camaraderie of just being out there and doing it.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of your favorite moments of being on tour with West Coast?
I wouldn't even say so much that the West Coast thing, but I guess for instance, for that band, the touring with West Coast is not my favorite tour by any means, right?
What's your favorite tour? I'm not the full scope. I don't know.
I want to say Warped Tour 2016. We were out there for 40 days, and that was a pretty good one. There's, you know, the Warped Tour is like horrible. It's the fucking worst. If you're not in a bus, it was literally the worst. But there was a couple specific times that I can remember on that tour, and this is while I was playing, ironically, right? That while I was playing, I was just like, holy shit, there are 600 people right here, and a couple hundred of them knew the song. And it just, that was crazy to me. And I think that one was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I remember specifically that show, and then the show was like in a, you know, all of them are at amphitheaters, right? But like where we parked, where all the bands parked, was underneath this bridge in downtown, and I was just like, holy shit, dude, this is the coolest thing I've ever felt for some reason. So
No, that's sick. And what band were you playing with at
it was
the
a band
time?
called The New Low.
The New Low.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like having the fans like scream back your lyrics has got to be one of the coolest feelings.
Yeah.
Just
It is.
yeah, it's like they fuck with me, like they
Yeah.
fuck with us. Like, God, yes, like
It's crazier, when you are when you actually wrote those songs, though. You know what I mean? Like for me, that's all I do. All I do is write songs. It's not like but I fill in for bands all the time, right? Like I'll fill in for tours all the time, and you'll hear people singing their songs. But when you wrote those songs, that's where it's at. That is 100% where it's at. So yeah, that.
Agreed.
Yeah, man.
Agreed. Well, as far as what I've seen in the local scene is the ability to jump from having the full-time job to going full-time in music. What piece of advice would you give to aspiring artists and producers and people that want to be doing that full-time? Like, what advice would you give to them?
I feel like every producer that gets asked that question always says, "Don't do it." But no, definitely do it. But if you're gonna do it, you can't be a bitch. That's it. My biggest piece of advice for anybody that's watching or listening is you can't be a fucking bitch. Like, I moved to Arizona with $15 and I and a fucking 4 pair of underwear, and I had a laptop and I just tried, right? And I fucking sucked a lot. I sucked bad. I sucked just as much as everybody else sucks right now, or at least who thinks they suck. And I knew I sucked. There was no thinking about it, right? But I wanted it, right? And half the battle is showing up, right? That's like you've already won. Once you show up, you've already won. So you can't quit, because it's easy as fuck to quit. I've quit for momentary time and a momentary amount of time, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is all I even know how to do. Like, I can make spaghetti and I can write a song, right? And I'm not gonna make shitty spaghetti for a living, right? I'd rather do something that brings other people joy, not even myself, right? And spaghetti can bring other people joy, but if it's good.
I do love me some spaghetti.
Yeah. So you just can't be a bitch. You can't give it up, And I think it's a real test of your will, your people are gonna be like, oh man, that mix sucked, or you're gonna work with bands that are gonna break you, right? Or bands that are just too much. And just know that that's not on you. That's on them. If you know you're doing a good job, and if you know that you can excel, which everyone can. I mean, look at YouTube, dude. There's more information out there than ever. There's no excuse to suck anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And so for some reason I still do, but
get out of here. Get out of here. We all suck. I suck too.
I've worked hard. But yeah, that's it. Working hard, not giving up, because it really is fucking easy to just stop. So.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Wise words. When it comes to following your dreams and making it happen, you're such a great example, and that's why I wanted to talk to you. It's because, for myself even, it's I still have a full-time job, but I want to be a musician full-time. I want to do this full-time, and leaving that comfortable paycheck, and I don't even know how, to supplement all of my income to be able to pay my bills. But I feel like if you are able to be in your zone and you can't go a single day without thinking about something, you have to go and do it. Otherwise, you're going to regret that for your entire fucking life. And I think that making that jump to go full time is more of a battle of will. And the only thing that would caution me to say otherwise would be, what if someone just really does fucking suck? And at what point does that person need to say, yo, I think I need to figure something else out? Because there are people like that are out there too.
Without naming any names, there are plenty of fucking people out there that suck that are doing it full time. And the difference that what makes them better than you is that they just didn't give up. And they don't even care. Like, they don't even care if they suck. Somebody is paying them to do it, right? Somebody is going to pay you to do it. If you can put together your words well enough to trick someone into doing it. And that's all it is. That's all of this shit is. Fucking making someone believe that you're the shit, even if you know you're not. And that's a trick. That's all it is. It's literally, in the purest form, it's hustling, not necessarily conning, right? Maybe a little bit, maybe hyping yourself up to be more than what you are, but you have to. You have to. And if you don't, then you're just not a good salesman. And half of this shit is being a salesman, right? And eventually, once you put in the work, you become a good enough salesman to where you become Walmart. And people just come to you because that's the only thing they know that will work.
Interesting concept. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's like the whole thing with not the tarot card readers, but the people that can read minds.
Mm-hmm.
There's like this huge scam that got found out where it was like,
Miss Cleo,
and like all those fucking people. There's like wires and like people are like Googling information, or like before Google they're like yellow booking and stuff, but like just trickery, magic. And I think that's part of what it is. It's part of art, is that illusion, like in anything.
It's all perspective. Like it's all perspective. There's something I said, like you especially in the music industry and in writing music, like art is something that is supposed to be this defining thing in your life, and it's supposed to be something that no one else can recreate. And while that may be true, you have to kind of go with if you're trying to do what I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to stay relevant, the only way to stay relevant is to listen and keep your ear to the ground. And because I'm kind of going on a tangent, but I really wanted to make this point.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I made this point the other day, and there's no record executive that's going to put you up, right? Like there's no amount of money that's going to make you stay relevant forever. Like maybe momentary, but you have to kind of address with the 16-year-old kid that has a bunch of friends in high school likes in some way or another. Like that's who's going to put you up, is that kid, not this crazy adult. And that, like I said, I'm kind of going on a tangent, but that art it has to be honed in.
No, man, it's so true. And I think that goes to speak to like the whole wave of like SoundCloud rappers, for example.
Yeah.
Like nobody saw that coming, but it was just a fact that like the access to a busted out beat and some angry kid, and all he needs is a laptop and a beat, or he doesn't even need his own laptop. He just needs the beat, and he could produce that music. And then it caught on, and then you've got people like Scarlord, and you've got that whole wave that came up. But then you see this whole innovation, like with the trap metal scene, which has been a thing that's been developing for a long time, but just like different tangents. And the way that the music industry and the scene evolves is really cool to see. And I think you nailed it. It's the capturing the 16-year-old emotion, because that's literally the most emotional time of your entire life as a human being, is when you're going through high school and puberty,
your balls start to drop,
girls and embarrassment.
Oh yeah, what's embarrassing is when your balls start to drop when you think they did, but they didn't. So you pull your balls out, and then your friends got these giant nut-sacks, and then you're just like nickels. That's embarrassing,
right?
But that's the kid you want to fucking nick. Hey man,
I got a little sack too. You can be fucking friends, right?
So I'm just gonna write a song called Tiny Sack, dude. Just to like fucking just to make all those kids feel good.
You should.
I'm just like, it's okay to have a tiny sack.
I got a tiny nut sack.
Yeah.
Something.
Yes. I'm 16 and I got a little sack, and it's cool because it still feels good when you lick it on my little sack. That's weird. But that kid's gonna be so fucking pumped.
It'll blow up. But no, that's super dope. The fact that you recognize that, and I was gonna ask you too. I want to know what your biggest pet peeve is in the studio when you're recording someone, and then what's the best piece of gear that you've ever bought to record.
Oh, that's cool. I no one ever asked that. Pet peeve? Timing.
Yeah.
Timing. If you have poor timing, I will lose my fucking mind. I will lose my mind, and I don't know why, but if I can deal with being pitchy, I can even deal with being a little bit off time, right? And granted, I know that literally everything is fixable, right? Like I can go into my DAW and just fix it. But if you're an artist and this is what the shit that you're supposed to be all about, if you fucking can't get it, right? Especially if we're doing something in 4/4 that says, I like Doritos, everything is fine. And you're like, I like Doritos. I will fucking go crazy. And that's it. That's my biggest pet peeve. That's my biggest.
Y'all hear that, Void?
No, they got good timing. Those motherfuckers are on it. They are on
I'm
it.
stoked, man. Everything, I mean, obviously you are the controller, but I feel like most of the artists that come to you have that stamp of this shit's gonna be dope. And that's how you branded yourself, because it's fucking true.
Yeah.
All right, and we are back, and where we left off was when you've got that one guy in the band that just absolutely kills it, and you can see these other math amount of people that are strapped to this dude, and if you were to pull him aside and give him some words of wisdom, what would you tell said person?
Well, like I've said every time, you gotta figure something else out. You know, people have hated me because I would consistently stop bands I would stop being in bands if I felt like people weren't doing it the way that I felt like it needed to be done. And not to be elitist, but I was blessed enough to be in a band with these dudes named Chad Hasey and Travis Sykes. And we started a band called Glass Cloud, and they were some of the best dudes. I mean, I helped them write audition pieces to get into Berkeley, and they got in. They went to Berkeley, graduated, we started Glass Cloud, and they were just so about their shit, and they were so on it, and we all had that mentality to be as good as fucking humanly possible at what we do. It's the Foo Fighters mentality.
That's
right?
dope.
So I have seen people who don't have that, who try to be in band, and it just does not work. It doesn't work. And if you are bad, or not necessarily bad, but if you aren't like really like crushing it at your instrument, you better be doing something crazy in your marketing. You know what I mean? Because there are cases obviously where that happens, without naming names. But anybody who's out there that is watching this can think of one band out there that is just completely like, what are you guys thinking? And they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
But I just, I've just never settled for people who don't take what they do seriously.
Well, you can't, because that's how you make your living too.
Yeah, but
and if
a
you're
lot of
going in this
people do.
full time,
Yeah.
it's not something that you can just piss off. And that's what drives me crazy, is when it's like you've got to practice before you practice.
Yeah.
And that's something that gets missed all the time, and people don't realize. They're like, oh yeah, being a rock star, or like blah blah blah. And it's like, no man, it is like an insane amount of work and grind and practice and repetition and effort and fucking eating shit for a long time before you get anywhere. And I think that pushing through all of that is what forms this diamond of a well-rounded musician, or someone that can make a fucking moment happen and make you remember that moment for the rest of your life. Like, I'll never forget, like, the first time I saw the Foo Fighters. That was my first concert ever.
Oh, no way.
I saw Dave Grohl when I was 14, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't know someone this cool existed. And I was like, I want to do that.
I love that guy.
And he's one of my favorite humans.
Yeah.
Just from the music standpoint, and then from just how he treats other people. At least the whole drum thing.
No, you gotta.
Yeah.
Don't. I'm not gonna talk about it. Never mind.
But either way, as a musician, I respect the hell out of him. And just someone told me one time that art decorates walls, but music decorates time. And I think that in order for you to capture the magic that is this existence, that we're currently all living in this crazy world, in this universe, you have to have something worth capturing. And to be at a point of being able to do that as a musician and as an artist is super special.
Yeah.
And I think you've got that, and I think a lot of the people that you work with have that. And I'm excited for you, man.
I think, I only make it a point to work with people that have that thing that, at least for me, I know isn't going to be done in vain, right? I'm never ever going to put my effort into something that I don't think will do something anymore, ever. And I feel like that's a fortunate place to be. I really do, because like I said, you got to eat a lot of shit before you can do that. And I'm so full. I'm done eating shit.
Yeah, bro. My eyes are brown from the amount of shit I've gone through. So I understand. But dude, I'm super thankful that you gave me the opportunity to ask you some questions here. It's inspiring for the scene. Want to know your rad message that you'd like to send out there. We've already sent plenty. But do you have a rad? I know it's corny, but do you have a rad message that you'd like to send out there?
Don't be a bitch.
Don't be a bitch.
Don't be a bitch. That's
Don't
it.
be a bitch.
Or okay, here's a better one. Be less of a bitch. Or a better one. Just try your best, dude. Just try. Just do your best.
And don't forget to check out all of Hiram's updates on all of the social medias. Do you have a website or anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, Pornhub.com
/Hiram.
Just slash probably shouldn't go here.
No. Hell yeah, man. It's been a pleasure. All right.
Been living Surrender.